माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय।
Please sit down. Good morning to all. I cordially welcome you all in the 35th session of the Hindu Parliament, and I hope this session will be fruitful. Let us begin with oath and affirmation of our newly elected ministers. Secretary General, please.
Yes, Madam. Ms. Fatima Anha, who stands elected from the Kolkata constituency of West Bengal, will now take the oath or make an affirmation. Ms. Fatima Anha. Ma'am, would you like to take oath or affirmation?
Oath, please.
In which language would you like to take the oath?
In English. I, Fatima Anha, having been elected a member of the Youth Parliament, do swear in the name of God, solemnly affirm that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as per law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter.
सुश्री दिव्यांशी चौहान, जो राजस्थान के अलवर संसदीय क्षेत्र से निर्वाचित हुई है, शपथ ग्रहण करेंगी। सुश्री दिव्यांशी। आप शपथ ग्रहण करेंगी या प्रतिज्ञान करेंगी?
मैं शपथ ग्रहण करूंगी।
आप किस भाषा में शपथ ग्रहण करेंगी?
मैं हिंदी भाषा में शपथ ग्रहण करूंगी। मैं दिव्यांशी चौहान, जो युवा संसद की सदस्य निर्वाचित हुई हूँ, ईश्वर की शपथ लेती हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा एवं निष्ठा रखूंगी, देश की एकता और सत्ता को बनाए रखूंगी तथा जिस पद को मैं ग्रहण करने वाली हूँ उसके कर्तव्य का श्रद्धापूर्वक निर्वहन करूंगी। Honorable members, as we meet today, it is my duty to inform the House of the sad and sudden demise of a former colleague and former Speaker of Lok Sabha, Shri Manohar Joshi ji. Shri Manohar Joshi's legislative and parliamentary career began in 1972 when he was elected at the Maharashtra Legislative Council. After serving 3 terms in the Legislative Council, he was elected at the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. He was the Chief Minister of Maharashtra from 1995 to 1999. His keen political foresight, leadership qualities, and administrative abilities enabled him to govern the state efficiently. Earlier, during 1990 to 91, he was also the leader of opposition in the State Legislative Assembly. He was unanimously elected for the post of Speaker on 10 May 2002 and remained at this post till 2nd June 2004. Shri Joshi was known for his forthright views and strongly believed that a structured, democratic and healthy opposition immensely contribute in strengthening the democratic polity. On the behalf of the entire House, I extend my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family of Sri Manohar Joshi ji.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I pay my tribute to late Sri Manohar Joshi ji, who died on 23rd February 2024 at the age of 86. In his long years in public life, he distinguished himself as a member of Maharashtra State Assembly, member of Parliament, and Cabinet Minister. He worked unceasingly to consolidate the lofty values enshrined in the Constitution of this great nation and for the development and welfare of his state Maharashtra and our nation, India. I pray to God to give strength to the bereaved family to bear this loss.
अत्यंत दुख का विषय है आज हमारे बीच भारत माता की सच्ची सपूत और जनता के सेवक श्री मनोहर जोशी जी नहीं है। उनका जन्म 2 दिसंबर 1937 महाराष्ट्र के रायगढ़ जिले में हुआ था। वे मराठी, हिंदी, अंग्रेजी और संस्कृत भाषा में प्रवीण थे। महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में उन्होंने राजनीतिक प्रगति के लिए अथक प्रयास किया। उन्होंने केंद्रीय मंत्री के रूप में भी उल्लेखनीय योगदान दिया। लोकसभा अध्यक्ष के रूप में अपने कार्यकाल के दौरान उन्होंने हमारी संसदीय प्रक्रियाओं को और अधिक जीवन और सहभागी बनाने का प्रयास किया। मनोहर जोशी जी को एक सच्चे, कर्मठ और सेवाभावी नेता के रूप में देश हमेशा याद रखेगा।
The House may stand in silence for a while to express our deep sorrow. Secretary General may convey the message of condolences to the bereaved family.
Yes, Madam.
Prime Minister to introduce the new ministers.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I have the pleasure in introducing to you and through you to the House my colleagues, the new ministers, Mr. Hardeep Singh Pawar, Minister of Commerce and Industry, and Mr. Abhinav Bishnoi, Minister of Civil Aviation.
Now, the questionnaire starts. Question number 101, Mr. Anupam, you may ask your question.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, in the Minister of Health, we wish to state what is the total number of doctors and nursing personnel in India at present, and what steps are taken by the government to increase the number of medical colleges and seats.
Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare.
As per the information provided by the National Medical Commission, there are 13,08,009 allopathic doctors registered with the State Medical Council and National Medical Commission as on June 2020, assuming 80% availability of registered allopathic doctors and 5.65 lakh Ayush doctors. The doctor population ratio in the country is 1:834, which is better than the WHO standard of 1:1000. Also, there are 34.33 lakh registered nursing personnel and 13 lakh alike and healthcare profession in the country. The government has increased the number of medical colleges and subsequently increased the MBBS. There is an increase of 82% in medical colleges from 387 before 2014 to 706 as of now. Further, there is an increase in MBBS seats from 51,348 before 2014 to 1,08,940 as of now. There is also an increase in TG seats from 31,185 before 2014 to 70,674 as of now.
Question number 102, Ms. Yashvi.
जानना चाहती हूँ कि जलवायु परिवर्तन जैसे गंभीर और वैश्विक मुद्दे के लिए क्या सरकार ने राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कोई कार्रवाई योजना बनाई है? क्या सरकार के पास कार्बन उत्सर्जन को कम करने एवं ग्रीन एनर्जी को बढ़ाने के लिए कोई कार्य योजना है?
माननीय पर्यावरण मंत्री,
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय,
मैं माननीय सदस्य के प्रश्नों का क्रमानुसार उत्तर प्रस्तुत करती हूँ। हमारी सरकार ने जलवायु परिवर्तन के लिए राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कार्यवाही योजना बनाई है। इसमें हमने 8 मिशनों को शामिल किया है। इसके अंतर्गत ग्रीन इंडिया मिशन, सोलर मिशन आदि कार्यक्रम शामिल हैं। हमारी सरकार ने कार्बन उत्सर्जन को कम करने के लिए 2022 में संपर्क प्राप्त 27 की DRIP योजना को स्वीकार किया है। हमने 2032 तक ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन के उत्पादन को 3 गुना बढ़ाने का लक्ष्य निश्चित किया है। हमने 2025 तक पेट्रोल में 20% इथेनॉल मिश्रण का लक्ष्य तय किया है। इससे कार्बन उत्सर्जन में कमी आएगी। इसी के साथ सरकार इलेक्ट्रिक वाहनों के प्रयोग और उत्पादन को बढ़ाने का प्रयास कर रही है। साथ ही साथ सरकार सौर ऊर्जा का उत्पादन लगातार बढ़ाने का प्रयास कर रही है। 2014 में देश में सौर ऊर्जा का कुल उत्पादन 3,773 मेगावाट था, जो अब बढ़कर 63,146 मेगावाट हो गई है।
कोई पूरक प्रश्न है? सुश्री मनस्वी, कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछिए।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, क्या माननीय मंत्री महोदया सदन को बता सकती है कि सरकार विश्व स्तर पर जलवायु परिवर्तन के प्रभावों को कम करने के लिए किए जा रहे प्रयासों में किसी प्रकार की भागीदारी कर रही है या नहीं? धन्यवाद महोदय।
माननीय पर्यावरण मंत्री।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, भारत ने फ्रांस के साथ मिलकर इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस की स्थापना की थी, जिसमें आप 110 देश जुड़ चुके हैं। भारत की अगुवाई में कोलिशन फॉर डिजास्टर रेजिलिएंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत की गई है। भारत ने स्वीडन के साथ मिलकर बड़े उद्योगों में ग्रीन एनर्जी के उपयोग को बढ़ावा देने के लिए लीडरशिप फॉर इंडस्ट्री ट्रांजिशन नामक कार्यक्रम की पहल की है।
Question number 103, Ms. Raintree.
Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Home Affairs be pleased to state whether the incidents of missing children have been reported in the country, and if so, whether the government is running any special campaign for the immediate rescue of such missing children, and if so, the details thereof.
Honorable Minister of Home Affairs.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, to you, I would like to answer the question asked by fellow member. A. Yes, madam. The incidents of missing children have been reported. B. The government has taken several initiatives to trace, rescue, and rehabilitate missing children and to reunite them with their families. Such as, first, the Ministry of Home Affairs has sanctioned a comprehensive scheme for strengthening law enforcement response in India against trafficking in persons, and 696 anti-human trafficking units have been set up throughout the country. Second, the ministry has also issued several advisories to state duties to take up to strengthen the effort of tracing missing children. The advisories are available in the Ministry of Home Affairs website. Third, the Ministry of Women and Child Development has initiated a web portal named TrackChild. It is aimed at maintaining real-time data of all missing children, containing extensive identification details to facilitate matching of missing and recovered children. Fourth, the Ministry of Home Affairs had advised state duties to take up a special campaign named Operation Smile to trace and rescue missing children and reunite them with their families. During this operation, 3,788 children were rescued last year.
Any supplementary question? Yes, Ms. Shruti.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I would like to ask whether the cases of missing children from parental homes come to the notice of the government during each of the last 3 years and currently. What action and steps have the government taken in this regard?
Honorable Minister of Home Affairs.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I would like to tell fellow members that 8 complaints pertaining to 26 children missing from childcare institutions, including shelter homes, were received during last 3 years and the current year. National Commission for Protection of Children's Rights take cognizance of the report and recommends the concerned government authority to take appropriate action on the basis of inquiry report. The ministry has been requested state duties
for strict implementation of Juvenile Justice Act 2000, which mandates that all child institutions, including children of various types, must be registered under the Act.
Question number 104, Ms. Bhumika.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री जी से जानना चाहती हूँ कि केंद्रीय विद्यालय संगठन द्वारा अपनी नई प्रवेश नीति में प्रत्येक कक्षा वर्ग में विद्यार्थियों की अधिकतम संख्या 40 से घटाकर 32 क्यों की गई है? क्या सरकार के इस कदम से केंद्रीय विद्यालय संगठन में प्रवेश से वंचित रहने वाले विद्यार्थियों के सरकार ने कोई उपाय किए हैं?
माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं आपके माध्यम से सदन को बताना चाहता हूँ कि केंद्रीय विद्यालय संगठन द्वारा अपनी नई प्रवेश नीति में प्रत्येक कक्षा वर्ग के विद्यार्थियों की अधिकतम संख्या में परिवर्तन नई शिक्षा नीति 2020 के प्रावधान अंतर्गत किया गया था, जिसमें विद्यालयों में प्यूपिल टीचर रेशियो को संतुलित करने की बात कही गई थी। किंतु केंद्रीय और सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के उपक्रमों में काम करने वाले कर्मचारियों के बच्चों को प्रवेशकारी समस्याओं को देखते हुए हमने पहली कक्षा में प्रत्येक वर्ग में छात्रों की संख्या फिर से 40 और अन्य कक्षाओं में 45 कर दी है।
Question number 105, Mr. Rhythm, you may ask your question.
Honorable Speaker Madam, will the Minister of Railways be pleased to state whether the government is working on redevelopment or revamping of Udaipur railway station? If so, the details thereof are required.
Honorable Minister of Railways.
Honorable Speaker Madam, to you, I would like to answer the questions asked by fellow members. Ministry of Railways has launched Amrit Bharat Station Scheme for development of the station on Indian Railways. This scheme aims at development of the station on a continuous basis with long-term approach. Udaipur Railway Station is one of the stations identified for development under this scheme. The scheme involves preparation of master plans and their implementation in phases to improve the amenities at the station, like improvement of the station access, circulating areas, waiting halls, toilets, lift or escalators as necessary, cleanliness, free Wi-Fi, kiosks for the local products to the scheme like one station, one product. Better passenger information systems, executive lounges, nominated space for business meetings, landscaping, etc.
Question number 106, Mr. Ayush.
Honorable Speaker Madam, will the Minister of Tourism be pleased to state whether the government has identified any new tourist site being considered for development in Rajasthan, particularly in border areas? If so, the details thereof.
Honorable Minister of Tourism, please.
Honorable Speaker Madam, through you, I would like to answer the question asked by the fellow members. While development of tourism infrastructure is primarily undertaken by the Rajasthan state government, the ministry under Swadesh Darshan scheme and Prasad scheme for pilgrimage and heritage provide financial assistance to the state government, union territory, administration, etc. for augmentation of tourism infrastructure and tourist experiences in the country, including Rajasthan. The ministry, under its assistance to the central agencies, has sanctioned a project, development of border tourism at the Border Security Force Checkpost Download Complex in the year of 2022 to 23 for an amount of 17.68 crore. The Ministry of Tourism has revamped Swadesh Darshan scheme as Swadesh Darshan 2.0 with the objective to develop sustainable and responsible tourism destination, and in consultation with the state government of Rajasthan, identify Ajmer and Pushkar as destination for development under Swadesh Darshan 2.0.
Question number 107, Ms. Khushbu, you may ask your question.
Honorable Speaker Madam, will the Minister of Youth Affairs and Sport be pleased to state A. The details of the scheme proposed by the government to develop sport facilities
increase and encourage the sporting talent in the backward area of country. B. The details of the scheme of the government to encourage group participation among the youth in the sports competition.
Honorable Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, please.
Honorable Speaker Madam, sports being a state subject, the responsibility to promote and develop sports facilities and encourage sporting talent in the backward area of the country lies primarily with the respective state or union territory government. However, this ministry is running various sports promotion schemes across the country, including backward area, which cater all the sections of society, including youth. These schemes are: first, Khelo India National Program for Development of Sports; second, Assistance to National Sports Federation; third, Special Awards for Women in International Events and their coaches; fourth, National Sports Award; fifth, Pension to Minority Sports Person; and sixth, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay National Sports Welfare Scheme, etc. Under Khelo India National Program for Development of Sports, various competitions such as Khelo India Youth Games, Khelo India University Games, Khelo India Para Games, and Khelo India Olympic Games are held to encourage group participation among sports persons.
Question number 108, Mr. Bhavani.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं माननीय नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा मंत्री से जानना चाहता हूँ कि नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा का प्रयोग बढ़ाने हेतु क्या उनके पास कोई कार्य योजना है? यदि हाँ, तो किस प्रकार की नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा हेतु उनकी कार्य योजना है? इन योजना और इनके उद्देश्यों के बारे में मंत्री महोदय संक्षेप में सदन को अवगत कराएं।
माननीय नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा मंत्री।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं आपके माध्यम से सदन को बताना चाहती हूँ कि हमारी सरकार ने नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा को बढ़ावा देने के लिए कई योजनाएं बनाई हैं, जिनका ब्यौरा कुछ इस प्रकार है। पहला, राष्ट्रीय सौर मिशन। NSM का उद्देश्य ग्रिड से जुड़े और ऑफ ग्रिड दोनों अनुप्रयोगों के लिए सौर ऊर्जा के विकास और उपयोग को बढ़ावा देना है। यह सौर क्षमता वृद्धि के लिए महत्वाकांक्षी लक्ष्य निर्धारित करता है और इसको बढ़ावा देने के लिए वित्त प्रोत्साहन, सब्सिडी और नीतिगत समर्थन प्रदान करता है। दूसरा, पवन ऊर्जा संवर्धन। भारत के पास दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी पवन ऊर्जा क्षमता है और इसको बढ़ावा देने के लिए सरकार व्यापक स्तर पर प्रयास कर रही है। तीसरा, जैव ऊर्जा संवर्धन। सरकार जैव ईंधन और बायोमास आधारित बिजली उत्पादन को बढ़ावा दे रही है। पेट्रोल और इथेनॉल के मिश्रण को अनिवार्य किया जा रहा है, जो कि हमारी राष्ट्र नीति का एक मुख्य लक्ष्य है। इसके अतिरिक्त जल विद्युत, भूताकीय और महासागरीय ऊर्जा के दोहन और उपयोग को बढ़ावा दिया जा रहा है। धन्यवाद महोदय।
Madam, I would like to raise this matter related with the breach of privilege. Yesterday, while I was going to visit my constituency, I saw some people of my constituency were protesting against the poor water supply. As a representative of these people, I also associated myself with these people. I stood there for a few minutes. Meanwhile, the police came and mishandled us. Madam, this is a serious concern. Kindly allow me to raise this matter.
Have you given a notice of it earlier? You may give a notice and I shall consider it.
Madam, I already gave a notice of it at 10 a.m. today.
इसकी जांच की जाएगी और जब वो मेरे पास आएगा मैं उस पर विचार करूंगी और आपको निर्णय बता दूंगी। Honorable Minister of Mines, please.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I beg to lay on the table a copy of each of the following notifications under the Section 1 of Section 28, Mines Minerals Regulation and Development Act 1987. First, the Mineral Concession Third Amendment Rules 1987 published in notification number GSR 1002E in Gazette of India dated 21st December 1987. Second, SO 145E published in Gazette of India dated the 4th February 1988 authorizing the Geological Survey of India to carry out such detailed investigation for the purpose of obtaining such information as may be necessary in the area specified in the table and next to the notification.
Secretary General to report the message received from the upper chamber of the Youth Parliament.
Yes, madam. I have to report the following message received from the Secretary of Upper Chamber of Youth Parliament. In accordance with the provision of the rules of procedure and conduct of business in the upper house of the Youth Parliament, I am directed to enclose a copy of the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2024, which was passed by the upper chamber at its sitting held on 9th August 2024.
Secretary General to lay on the table a copy of the bill is passed by the upper chamber.
Madam, I lay on the table of the House the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2024 as passed by the upper chamber.
Honorable members, I have to make an announcement. On my behalf, or on the behalf of honorable members of the House, I have a great pleasure in extending a warm welcome to Nepal Parliamentary delegation, Ms. Lakshmi Nama and Mr. Bhavesh, who are on a visit to India as our honored guests. It is a very high-powered delegation. The delegation arrived on Friday, 26th August 2024. They are now seated in a special box. We wish them a fruitful stay and our best wishes to the Nepalese Prime Minister and friendly people of Nepal. Now, let us take the calling attention motion. Mr. Chirag, please call the attention of the Minister.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I beg to call the attention of the Minister of Education towards the issue of growing instances of paper leaking in major competitive exams in India. There has been a lot of talk lately about NEET and seated examination on social media. Some candidates claim that both papers of NEET and seated were leaked before exams. And there is also a lot of talk about cheating. The NTA, which was made for conducting very important and professional exams, has made a failure in its objective. We are hearing several news articles regarding paper leaks, cheating, dummy candidates appearing in exams, hacking of system during online exams from all over India. But what is cheating? Is it a thing, a concept, a phenomenon restricted only to one instance? Apparently not. Here's some disturbing truth. In the past 1 year, about a dozen major question paper leaks have been reported affecting lakhs of students across India. Some of the major question paper leak scandals are paper leak in various exams conducted by RPSC, UP Police exam paper leak, Haryana Police paper leak case, etc. It seems in our country, cheating has become a socially and morally acceptable practice. Question papers are being sold on WhatsApp and Facebook. Thousands and thousands of students are forced to suffer and retake the exam because of greed of paper leaking mafia.
Honorable members, please maintain silence.
Question leaks are not an ordinary issue. They disrupt the entire examination process, leading to cancellation or indefinite delays. What is worse is the fact that paper leak is carried out almost as an organized crime, with sophisticated gangs running networks across states for the same. Who will ensure that these re-exam papers are not leaked? Who will ensure the millions of students, all their efforts and hard work will not go waste?
Honorable Minister, please.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, I agree with the deep concern shown by a worthy member. Paper leaking is indeed a disturbing reality and a grave concern for whole country. But I would like to assure the House that our government is leaving no stone unturned to fight this evil. Special directives have been issued to all the state government to treat this matter with utmost priorities. Investigations are going on to identify and uproot the paper leaking gangs all over the country. Many state governments show tremendous effort in their investigation. Rajasthan Police has found the leader and member of the gang which leaked the question paper of exam conducted by RPSC, and also arrested a number of candidates who benefited from these leaks paper. The government has already passed a bill to stop these corrupt practices and by making cheating a non-bailable offence. We will make necessary amendments in the Act and make provision for much strict punishments.
Mr. Kulli,
माननीय उपाध्यक्ष महोदय, माननीय मंत्री महोदय के बयान को सुनकर मुझे पिताकालीन का एक शेर याद आता है। तेरे वादे पर दिए हम, तू ये जान झूठ जाना कि खुशी से मर ना जाते अगर एतबार होता। आश्वासन, आश्वासन और केवल आश्वासन। हर बार पेपर लीक की घटना के बाद सरकार केवल यही आश्वासन देती है कि दोषियों को जल्द पकड़ लिया जाएगा और भविष्य में पेपर लीक जैसी घटनाओं की पुनरावृत्ति नहीं होगी। परंतु फिर कुछ माह बाद देश के किसी न किसी बात से किसी न किसी परीक्षा का पर्चा लीक होने की खबरें सामने आने लगती है। लाखों की संख्या में बेरोजगार युवक युवतियां मेहनत करके बड़ी आशाओं के साथ इन परीक्षाओं में शामिल होते हैं, मगर पेपर देने के बाद जब खबर आती है कि पेपर तो पहले लीक हो गया था, तो सरकार इस परीक्षा को रद्द कर दोबारा परीक्षा लेगी तो उनका मनोबल टूट जाता है। मैं माननीय मंत्री महोदय से जानना चाहता हूँ, क्या कभी उन्होंने या उनकी सरकार ने इस सब के पीछे छिपी हमारी दोस्तों शिक्षा पद्धति और परीक्षा पद्धति को सुधारने के बारे में सोचा है, जो परीक्षार्थियों को ज्ञान ग्रहण करने के बजाय केवल रटना सिखा दी जाए। इसके साथ साथ मैं सरकार का ज्ञान भर्ती कोचिंग और डमी स्कूल संस्कृति की तरफ भी दिलाना चाहता हूँ। कई मामलों में परीक्षाओं में धांधली के पीछे इन कोचिंग संस्था और डमी स्कूलों का भी हाथ सामने आया है। माननीय महोदय, अगर सरकार ने समय रहते अपनी शिक्षा पद्धति और परीक्षा पद्धति में अपेक्षित सुधार नहीं किया तो लोगों का एक प्रतियोगी परीक्षा से पूरी तरह विश्वास उठ जाएगा। देश का शिक्षित और युवा वर्ग निराशा के गर्त में चला जाएगा।
माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री,
माननीय उपाध्यक्ष महोदय, जैसा कि मैंने अभी सदन को अवगत कराया कि प्रतियोगी परीक्षाओं में किसी भी तरह की धांधली को रोकने के लिए हमने एक बड़ा कानून पास किया है। साथ ही केंद्र सेवाओं और राज्य सेवाओं के लिए जो भी संस्थान प्रतियोगी परीक्षाओं के सफल आयोजन के उत्तरदायी है, उन्हें भी अलग से दिशा निर्देश भेजे गए हैं। मैं विपक्ष में मेरे साथी द्वारा शिक्षा पद्धति और परीक्षा पद्धति के सुधार हेतु उठाए गए मुद्दों से इत्तेफाक रखता हूँ और सदन में बताना चाहता हूँ कि नई शिक्षा नीति 2020 में इन मुद्दों को पूरी तरजीह दी गई है। नई शिक्षा नीति का केंद्र बिंदु शिक्षा प्रणाली को रटने की पुरानी प्रथा से अलग वास्तविक समझ और ज्ञान की ओर लाना है। माननीय महोदय, इस नई शिक्षा नीति में कोचिंग कक्षाओं की आवश्यकता को समाप्त करने के लिए हमने बोर्ड और प्रवेश परीक्षाओं की प्रणाली में सुधार किया है। साथ ही सीबीएसई समेत अन्य सभी बोर्डों को सख्त निर्देश दिए गए हैं कि वे ऐसे विद्यालयों की पहचान करें जो डमी स्कूल और कोचिंग कक्षाओं को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं और इनकी मान्यता रद्द करें। इन सभी प्रयासों से हमें उम्मीद है कि हम शिक्षा और प्रतियोगी परीक्षाओं का वातावरण स्वच्छ और भरोसेमंद बना सकेंगे।
Miss Anvi,
Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, I beg to draw your attention to the Minister of Finance about the growing issue of wealth and increasing poverty. On sir, this government is repeatedly making the claim that it will make India the third largest economy of the world soon. It has brought millions of people out of poverty. Their ministers are boasting of their efficiency, but there is a devil in the details that should cause high discomfort to the country. On this, sir, the wealth and income are inordinately concentrated at the top of 1% of the population, owning as much as 40.1% of wealth and accounting for 22.6% of income in 2023.
honorable members, please maintain the decorum of the house.
Honorable sir, it has shown that India's income inequality is now highest among the world. The shocking observation says that inequality in India is now worse than during the British Raj.
Honorable members, please maintain silence.
The rich are getting richer and the gap is rising faster than ever before. Honorable sir, Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas remains a slogan with the Vikas increasingly favoring the few. Honorable sir, this government should take responsibility of this grave situation and create stand and resolving the problem.
Honorable Finance Minister, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, achieving inclusive growth. reduction of poverty, and minimizing the unequal distribution of wealth have been the main priorities of the government. To achieve this goal, the government implementing various programs and schemes for creating better employment opportunities, strengthening social infrastructure, and providing basic amenities like water, road, sanitation, electricity, and housing for covering all sections of population. Various schemes such as Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program, Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Protsahan Yojana, and Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram and Kaushal Yojana. The National Urban Livelihood Mission are implemented by the government in both rural and urban areas of the country, which aim to create directly and indirectly additional employment opportunities to reap the benefit of demographic dividend. For social protection under Ayushman Bharat, the National Health Protection Scheme has been proposed, which is expected to cover over 15 crore poor and vulnerable families, providing coverage up to 5 lakh rupees per family per year for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization. Reducing inequalities is high on the agenda of government. As per the latest NSS data available, the government has been extremely successful in reduction in unequal distribution of wealth.
Honorable Leader of Opposition, please.
तुम्हारी फाइलों में गांव का मौसम गुलाबी है, मगर ये आंकड़े झूठे हैं, ये दावा गुलाबी है। तुम्हारी भेष चांदी की, तुम्हारे दाम सोने के, ना गरीब के घर में आज भी पूरी रकाबी है। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, अदम मौसमी साहब की ये पंक्तियां देश के मौजूदा हालातों को बखूबी बयां करती है। वित्त मंत्री महोदय ने अपने सेक्टर में अपनी योजना को खूब मकान दिया है और सरकारी स्कीम से गुजारा उनके पक्ष में दिए गए आंकड़ों से दूर का एक मायाजाल रखने की कोशिश की है, किंतु हकीकत यह है कि आज गरीब और गरीब होता जा रहा है और देश की संपत्ति उस धनी वर्गों के हाथों में केंद्रित हो गई है। किसी विद्वान की कही हुई बात आ जाती है कि भारत एक अमीर देश है जिसमें गरीब लोग रहते हैं।
Honorable members, please maintain silence.
वित्त मंत्री महोदय की बातें तो हमने सुनी है, अब जरा हमारी इक्वालिटी प्रस्तुत विश्व असमानता रिपोर्ट पर गौर कर पाते हैं। इस रिपोर्ट के अनुसार आज भारत विश्व के आर्थिक रूप से सबसे असमान देशों में से एक है। इसके अनुसार शीर्ष 10% आबादी के पास कुल राष्ट्रीय संपत्ति का 77% भाग पाया जाता है। इसे भी अगर और बारीकी से देखा जाए तो सबसे समृद्ध 1% वर्ग के पास देश की तरफ प्रतिशत संपत्ति मौजूद है, बाकी की लगभग 90% आबादी के हिस्से में और 23% संपत्ति ही है। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं इस सरकार और उसकी मुखिया से पूछना चाहती हूँ कि आगे कब तक इस देश का बजट किसका रहेगा और चंद कारपोरेट वर्ग के लोग इस देश के संसाधनों और संपत्ति पर कब्जा जमाए बैठे रहेंगे। सरकार की नीतियों से आ रही आर्थिक विषमता यानी चिंता का विषय होना चाहिए। माननीय महोदय, ये मुद्दा अत्यधिक महत्व का है और मैं ही नहीं बल्कि पूरा विपक्ष चाहता है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी इस पर अपना और अपनी सरकार के रूप से सदन को अवगत कराएं।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी,
जब भी रायता उठाया करो, पहले खुद देखा करो, फिर दिखाया करो। अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं मानती हूँ कि विपक्ष में मेरे साथियों द्वारा उठाया गया ये मुद्दा एक महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है, किंतु जिस तरह से इन्होंने इसे बढ़ा चढ़ा कर पेश किया है वह मेरी समझ से परे है। विपक्ष के मेरे साथी भूल रहे हैं कि आने की असमानता और गरीबी की समस्या पर हमारी पार्टी की सरकार बनने के बाद यकायक पैदा नहीं हुई है। देश की आजादी के समय से ही ये समस्या देश में विद्यमान थी और देश की आजादी के बाद जिन लोगों ने लंबे समय तक सरकारें चलाई उन्हें दिशा में महत्वपूर्ण कदम उठाने चाहिए थे। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, विपक्ष के साथी जब इस मुद्दे पर एक उंगली हमारी ओर उठाते हैं तो बाकी उंगलियां उनकी ओर भी उठती है। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैंने और मेरी सरकार ने देश के सामूहिक विकास दर को बढ़ाने और आय की असमानता और गरीबी से देश को मुक्त करने के लिए जो योजनाएं बनाई और क्रियान्वित की उन पर हमारी सरकार के प्रयासों से कुल 25 करोड़ देशवासियों को गरीबी से मुक्त किया गया है। गरीबी के माध्यम से कुल 24 करोड़ घरों गरीब कल्याण योजना, उज्ज्वल योजना, जनधन योजना, पीएम मुद्रा योजना, कृषि सम्मान निधि योजना जैसी योजनाएं गेम चेंजर साबित हुई है। मैं और मेरी सरकार पूरे आत्मविश्वास और लगन से देश की आर्थिक समृद्धि, गरीबी उन्मूलन और आय के समान वितरण हेतु प्रयासरत है। मैं पूरे सदन और देश को यह विश्वास दिलाती हूँ कि बहुत शीघ्र हम देश को आर्थिक विषमता और निर्धनता के दर्द से मुक्त कर देंगे। इन पंक्तियों के साथ मैं अपनी बात को समाप्त करती हूँ कि यकीन हो खुद पर तो रास्ता निकलता है, हवा की ओर लेकर भी चला जलता है।
Now, the House will take up consideration of the bill regarding accountability of social platforms and its users. Honorable Minister of Information Technology.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I beg to move that the bill to fix the accountability of social platforms and its users be taken into consideration. Madam, this bill aims to check the misuse of social platforms. It also aims at ensuring that the safety and security of the nation and peace and tranquility do not come under the threat because of irresponsible behavior of social platforms and its users. The bill also aims, first, to make social platforms responsible. Second, to make social platforms safe and secure. Third, to check the spread of fake news by social platforms or its users. Fourth, to check the content of pornography on social platforms. Fifth, to check the spread of hate speeches on social platforms. And sixth, to check the financial fraud caused through using of social platforms. Madam, I now move the bill, the accountability of social platforms and its users.
The question is, the leave be granted to consider the bill, the accountability of social platforms and its users. Those who are in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against it may say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Motion moved that the bill, the accountability of social platforms and its users be taken into consideration. Honorable Minister, please.
Honorable Speaker Madam, in today's world, the social platforms are playing a very important part in our life. These platforms have become part and parcel of our life. There are billions of users of these platforms across the country and the world. These platforms have been very helpful in changing the way of communication. Just one click and it becomes global from local. But recently, we all have witnessed the problem, threat, spread or created by social platforms because of lack of regulation and protective laws. Madam, that is why our government has drafted this bill to fix the accountability of social platforms and its users. We believe that there has been enough provision in the bill that will make the social platform and its users accountable. When this bill will be passed by the parliament, it will not only help the social platforms but its billions of users. It will make them reliable and sensitive. So, I request all the members, especially the member of opposition, to support this bill in larger interest of the people.
Mr. Devganshi, please.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I support this bill. This is true that social platforms have become the strongest medium of expression. We all are using these social platforms to express our ideas, opinions, or suggestions on different issues. The use of technology for good cause is always welcome. But ultimately, we know that there are some people who use this technology not for good cause or benefit. They use this technology to harm others. We have seen number of incidents where people use social platforms, be it Facebook or X or any other platform with ill intentions. They use this platform to spread fake news or hate speeches. It resulted in violence, tension and destruction because of their silly, fake and hate comments or videos. The peace and the social fabric of the country came under the threat. That is why there should be a law which can make these social platforms and its users responsible and accountable so that no one could use them to spread fake news or hate speeches. Thank you.
Ms. Akshita.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to participate in this debate. I rise to oppose the bill. We know that social platforms not only help common people to connect with each other, but also provide the opportunity to enhance their income and to generate their livelihood as well. Many small traders, craftsmen, artists, and people with creative skills use these platforms to earn their livelihood. Thus, people who do not have enough money to buy or rent a shop or to advertise their products through mainstream electronics and print media use these social platforms to reach their customers or try to increase their income. Many startups have got popularity through these social platforms. If this bill is passed, I fear that the number of social platform users would decrease and this would affect the common people who are getting their income support. Honorable Madam, another major concern regarding this bill is that there is no clarity about who will decide which content is fake or true. What would be the criteria? This bill does not say much on this issue. I have one more objection to this bill. All of us know that the people having creativity and innovative thinking are using these social platforms by making memes, cartoons, reels, etc. saturated. In this way, they are making people aware of different problems or issues in a future way. If this bill is passed, then the people with creative talent would not use these platforms out of fear. Madam, I strongly oppose this bill. Thank you.
सुश्री मीनाक्षी।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं इस बिल के विरोध में बोलने के लिए खड़ी हुई हूँ। महोदय, हमारा देश एक लोकतांत्रिक देश है और हमारे संविधान ने यहाँ के लोगों को अभिव्यक्ति की स्वतंत्रता प्रदान की है, जो कि एक सामान्य अधिकार न होकर मूल अधिकार है। क्या यह सरकार इस स्वतंत्रता पर पाबंदी लगाकर हमारे देश को साम्यवादी चीन या तानाशाही वाले देश उत्तरी कोरिया की तरह बनाना चाहती है, जहाँ के लोगों को अभिव्यक्ति की कोई स्वतंत्रता नहीं है? किंतु अध्यक्ष महोदय, हमारा देश चीन या उत्तरी कोरिया नहीं है, ये विश्व का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र है और किसी भी देश में लोकतंत्र की सफलता वहाँ के लोगों को दिए गए अधिकारों और स्वतंत्रता से मापी जाती है। आज के तकनीकी युग में सोशल मीडिया और प्लेटफॉर्म जनता के लिए अभिव्यक्ति का एक सुगम, सरल और सक्षम माध्यम है। किंतु महोदय, इस बिल के पास हो जाने के बाद सोशल मीडिया का उपयोग करने वाली जनता के मन में भय और संदेह फैल जाएगा और वो अपनी स्वतंत्र राय या बात इन प्लेटफॉर्म पर नहीं रखेगी। ऐसी स्थिति हमारे लोकतंत्र के लिए कतई अच्छी नहीं हो सकती। अतः मैं पुरजोर तरीके से इस बिल का विरोध करती हूँ। धन्यवाद।
सुश्री हीना।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं इस विधेयक के पक्ष में बोलने के लिए खड़ी हूँ। पिछले कुछ वर्षों में सोशल साइट या सोशल प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर भ्रामक विज्ञापन के जरिए लोगों के साथ आर्थिक धोखाधड़ी और ठगी के मामले बढ़ रहे हैं। इन सोशल साइट्स पर कई धोखेबाज किस्म के लोग बड़े लुभावने तरीके से अपने बोगस उत्पाद या प्रोडक्ट का प्रचार करते हुए देखे जा सकते हैं। तकनीक का गलत उपयोग करके वे भोले भाले लोगों को गुमराह करते हैं। वहीं दूसरी ओर कुछ लोग एडिटेड फोटो या वीडियो का प्रयोग कर प्रतिष्ठित लोगों को बदनाम करते हैं या बदनाम करने की धमकी देकर उन्हें परेशान करते हैं। अगर सदन इस विधेयक को पारित कर देता है तो इसके कानून बन जाने के बाद सोशल साइट्स के मालिकों और इनके गलत इस्तेमाल करने वाले यूजर्स को जिम्मेदार और जवाबदेह ठहराया जा सकेगा। अतः मैं इस विधेयक को पूर्ण समर्थन देती हूँ।
Ms. Hegel, please.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I oppose this bill in its present form. It is said in this bill that there would be a regulatory board. This board will observe and ensure the execution of the law. If the social platform or its users violate the law, then it will inquire into the matter. It may issue directives to the police department or other investigation agencies. The bill says that there will be 5 members in this regulatory board. Out of these 5 members, 3 members will be senior IAS and 2 members will be senior journalists. These members will be appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Prime Minister and Cabinet. Now, this very fact that the members would be appointed by the government raises doubts in the mind of people. These members would not talk freely and they would take directions from the government. So, just like other investigating agencies, this regulatory board also proves a puppet in the hand of the government. Honorable Speaker Madam, if the government amends to the process of appointment and involves the opposition leaders also in the recommendation of names, then it would make this board more reliable and independent. If the government takes my suggestion and amended the concerned clause, it would be more acceptable to the House. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of Information Technology.
Honorable Speaker Madam, now I would like to clarify all the doubts raised by an honorable member of opposition regarding the nature of the bill. Ma'am, the aim of our bill is to make social platforms and its users responsible and accountable. A. This bill is not going to ban the freedom of expressions of the people. It just makes people cautious while expressing themselves. They should not misuse this freedom to threaten or mislead others. B. This bill does not have any objections with people who are using their creativity or talent on social platforms in a constructive or positive way. C. It just makes social platforms responsible to keep a close eye on the content and to ensure that no improper material is shown on the site which will hurt the feeling of the users. And D. The member of the regulatory board will be appointed by the government and they will be answerable to Parliament. If any member of the both houses feels the action of the board is objectionable or violating in nature, then he or she may ask for prop through parliamentary committees. I hope I have answered all the points raised by the members in the course of my speech. Ma'am, through you, I once again request my worthy opposition members to support us to pass the accountability of social platforms and its users bill. Now, I request the House to pass the bill.
Now, the question is that the bill, the accountability of social platforms and its users be taken into consideration. Those who are in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against it may say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Now, clause by clause consideration. Now, the question is that clause 2 to 20 stands part of the bill. Those who are in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against it may say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Clause 2 to 20 stand part of the bill. Now, the question is that clause 1, the enacted formula and the title stands part of the bill. Those who are in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against it may say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Honorable Minister of IT, please.
Madam, I move the bill to be passed.
Motion moved that the bill is passed. Those who are in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against it may say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Now the House is adjourned to meet again tomorrow at 11 a.m.